Today, we're checking out a really interesting indicator called the RSI-Adaptive T3, and this one is by the folks over at ChartPrime. This thing is pretty smart. It's built to help you follow trends with more precision by automatically adjusting to how wild or calm the market is actually behaving. We're going to dive into what makes it tick, how it combines the legendary T3 moving average with the power of RSI, and how you can potentially use it in your trading. If you happen to find this helpful, do me a solid and hit that like button. Alright, so to get this on your charts, first thing you'll want to do is head over to TradingView, that's the platform I'm using, and if you need to sign up, I'll drop a link in the video description for you. Once you're there, load up whatever instrument you like to trade, could be crypto, Forex, stocks, you name it, on any time frame that suits your style. Then you're going to click on the Indicators button at the top, and in the search bar that pops up, just type in RSI-Adaptive T3. You're looking for the one by ChartPrime. Go ahead and click on that and it'll appear right on your chart. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the RSI-Adaptive T3. In a nutshell, this indicator is a sophisticated trend-following tool. It takes Tim Tillson's awesome T3 smoothing algorithm and kicks it up a notch by making its smoothing length dynamically adapt based on real-time RSI conditions, helping you clearly see trend directions, momentum surges, and how the market's volatility is actually behaving. So let's break down what we're seeing on the chart, because there are a few cool components. The most obvious thing is this main line. That's the T3 line itself. You'll notice it changes color. Typically it'll be blue when things are looking bullish and the trend is pointing upwards, and it'll switch to orange when the trend is bearish and heading down, which is super handy for quick trend assessment. Then you've got these adaptive volatility bands, one plotted above the T3 line and one below. These bands are designed to widen when market volatility picks up and contract when things are calm, a bit like Bollinger Bands, which can give you a visual cue for potential breakout setups or even areas where the price might revert. You might also spot these little diamond-like markers, or sometimes they look like small crosses, which show up when the T3 line crosses a delayed version of itself. These can be really useful for spotting potential trend flips or even attractive pullback entry points. And to top it off, there's usually a neat little dynamic info table that floats on your chart. This panel shows you the current adaptive length the T3 is using, along with the minimum and maximum length settings you've configured, all updating in real time and often color-coded to match the current trend direction. Now, if we dive into the settings of this indicator, you've got some pretty powerful customization options. The real magic of the RSI-Adaptive T3 is, well, its adaptiveness. So in the settings, you'll find options for min length and max length. This range is what the RSI uses to adjust the T3's responsiveness on the fly. When RSI is low, meaning the market might be oversold, the T3 will use a shorter length from this range, making it more reactive to catch potential reversals quickly. When RSI is high, perhaps in an overbought or strong trending phase, the T3 will stretch towards that max length, becoming smoother to help filter out market noise. There's also a volume factor, often shown as V, which is part of Tim Tillson's original T3 design to control the smoothness and responsiveness of the curve. You can, of course, adjust the RSI length that drives this whole adaptive mechanism. For the volatility bands, you can typically tweak their calculation period or multiplier, and you can usually toggle them on or off completely if you prefer a cleaner chart. And as with most indicators, you can customize the colors of the T3 line, the bands, and any fill areas to match your personal preference. If you're a scalper, you might experiment by setting a tighter range for the min and max lengths to get faster signals. If you're more of a swing trader, a wider range with longer lengths might suit you better to filter out short-term chop. The default settings are often a great place to start, but feel free to experiment to see what works best for your trading approach. Okay, so how can we actually look to use this RSI-Adaptive T3 in our trading? Well, one of the primary ways is by simply watching that main T3 line for trend direction. When that line is blue and the price is generally trading above it, you're in a bullish scenario. Conversely, when it's orange and the price is consistently below it, that's your signal that bears might be in control. Those color changes on the T3 line, especially when they're accompanied by those little directional shift markers we talked about, can be early warnings of a potential trend transition. These are moments you really want to pay attention to, particularly if you notice the volatility bands were previously quite narrow and are now starting to expand, suggesting energy is coming into the market. So for a bullish setup, you might be looking for the T3 line to flip to blue, with price action starting to make higher highs and higher lows, confirming that upward momentum. If the price then pulls back towards that blue T3 line and the line appears to be holding as a dynamic support level, that could present a nice entry opportunity, especially if the bands are showing controlled expansion rather than extreme volatility. And for a bearish setup, it's the opposite. You'd be looking for the T3 line to turn orange, with price action confirming the downward pressure. A rally or pullback up to the orange T3 line, where it then acts as dynamic resistance, could be your cue to consider a short position. The adaptive volatility bands are also super useful on their own. When these bands get really squeezed and narrow, it often signals that the market is consolidating and building up energy, kind of like a spring coiling up before a big move. So a breakout from these tight bands, with the T3 line's color and direction confirming the breakout, can be a pretty potent signal for a new trend leg. You can also think about using the bands as dynamic zones of interest. For instance, if the price pushes up and touches the upper band in an established uptrend, and then you see some stalling or a bearish candle form, it might suggest a temporary overbought condition or a logical place to think about taking some profits. Similarly, if price hits the lower band in a downtrend and bounces, it could indicate a short-term oversold point. And don't forget to glance at that info panel. Watching how the T3's adaptive length changes can give you a feel for the market's current tempo. A shorter, tighter length means the indicator is reacting fast to current conditions, while a longer, wider length suggests it's in a smoother, more noise filtering mode, which can be valuable context. So to wrap it all up, the RSI-Adaptive T3 by ChartPrime is a really clever and well thought out indicator. It takes the highly respected T3 moving average and makes it even more intelligent by using the RSI to dynamically adjust its sensitivity in real time to what the market is actually doing. This means it can seriously help you stay on the right side of the trend, get a clearer picture of momentum, identify potential reversals or strong continuation points, and understand market volatility, all with signals that aim to be less laggy and more responsive. It's a versatile tool that could be a fantastic addition to the toolkit for various types of traders, from scalpers to swing traders. All right, now, it's super important to remember that this is not financial advice. None of what we discussed today should be taken as a directive to buy or sell anything. The strategies and indicator uses we talked about are purely for educational and illustrative purposes, focusing on how this particular indicator functions and how it might be interpreted. Trading always involves risk, and past performance is not indicative of future results. You should always do your own thorough research and consider adding your own price action analysis, fundamental analysis, or other forms of confluence before making any trading decisions. If you found value in this video and learned something new about the RSI-Adaptive T3 indicator, remember to leave a like, or even better, consider subscribing to the channel to stay tuned for more indicator breakdowns, strategy ideas, and trading insights. Thanks so much for watching. See you next time.